Hi everybody, this is Bonnie Barker with Bonnie Babe Crochet, and I'm really happy to bring you Emily's Tulip Lap blanket today. This particular model is crocheted with 100% superwash merino wool using hand-dyed yarn, which was absolutely beautiful to work with. There are kits available should you be interested, although they are limited, from lambshopkits.com, and that information is in the video description below. Should you decide to get one of those kits, be sure to use the coupon code BonnieBay so that you get your 10% off those lovely kits. If you wanted to use other yarn, you are free to do that. All the information you need is in the video description below. And I'll show you in just a minute what you're going to need. But let me give you a nice view of this blanket. I'll go ahead and put a picture right here so that you can see what this will look like when completed. Here are the beautiful yarns that I'm going to be using for this project. All the information regarding the amount, the color, and where to purchase are in the video description below, including how you can find a kit. And if you use the coupon code BonnieBay when you check these out, you can get a 10% discount. Just tell her Bonnie sent you. And well, let's go ahead and show you the crochet hooks. For this project, I'm going to be using a size H, which is also an 8 or 5.00 millimeter crochet hook. And I recommend that you have a tapestry or yarn needle for hiding loose ends, of which there are going to be many, and a pair of sharp scissors. Okay, we're ready to begin. I am using color number 1, which is the deep purple, in the case of the colors that I am using in this pattern. And we're going to work a slip knot to begin. And we're going to make a starting chain of 107 stitches. After completing 107 chains, we're going to start row 1 in the second chain from the hook, and I am working on just one side of the V of these chains. I'm not working in the back bump, but on the side. And we're going to work one single crochet in each chain all the way across the row, just like that, and you will have a total of 106 single crochets at the end of this row. For row number 2, we are going to chain 1, and we're going to work one single crochet in each stitch all the way across. Rows 3 and 4 we'll be working the low front ridge. So I'll go ahead and work the first row of the low front ridge, and we are only going to work in the front loop, and we're going to skip the first loop, and the second stitch, the front loop, we're going to work a slip stitch, and we're going to work those slip stitches in the front loops only, just like that, all the way across the row. So go ahead and finish that, and I'll show you how to begin row, or the second row of the low front ridge, which is row 4 in this pattern. At the end of the row, chain 1 and turn, and working in the remaining loop, I'll show you the first one right here of the first stitch. We're going to work a single crochet in the remaining loop, just like that. And if you're not sure where this loop is, find the stitch and then just bring your hook up into that remaining loop. So go ahead and work this all the way across the row, working one single crochet in each remaining loop of the row. Okay, we have finished 4 rows, and I just finished the second row of the low front ridge, and I just wanted to show you the nice texture that this produces. So now we're ready to start row 5, which is row 1 of the arrow stitch. We begin with a chain 2 and a double crochet in that very first stitch. Now we're ready to work the arrow stitch across. We start by wrapping our hook twice. We're going to skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and in the next stitch we're going to work a treble crochet, working through both loops now. Now working behind the treble crochet, we're going to work double crochets in the 3 stitches that were just skipped. 1, 2, 3. So that you can see that, and we're going to work that all the way across the row. I'll do it for you one more time. Skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and that next stitch we work a treble crochet. Working behind the treble crochet, we work a double crochet in each of those 3 stitches that we just skipped. And that is what we're going to work all the way across, and we're going to work a double crochet in the last stitch of the row. For the last stitch, we're going to work a double crochet. Okay, now we're going to turn. We're going to chain 2, 1, 2, work a double crochet in that first stitch, which was the last double crochet we worked, and now we're going to skip 3, 1, 2, 3, treble crochet in the next stitch, which is also the same stitch which was that treble crochet of the previous round. Now working in front of this treble crochet, we're going to work double crochets in each of the 3 stitches that we just skipped. Okay, now we'll do that for you one more time. Skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, treble crochet in the next stitch, and then working in front of the treble crochet, we're going to double crochet. Make sure you go through both loops. Double crochet in each of those 3 stitches that we skipped. Let's go ahead and pause and take a look at what it should look like. Now this is the back side facing, and when we look at the front side, we should see this beautiful arrow forming. So go ahead and complete that row. For the last stitch of row 6, we work a double crochet in the last stitch, and let's turn and take a look at what we have. So we should have a total of 26 arrows across plus a double crochet at the beginning and end of the rows. Okay, for the next 2 rows, this would be rows 7 and 8. They will be worked the same. We're going to chain 1, and we are going to work 1 single crochet in each stitch, and this is working through both loops all the way across. So go ahead and work 2 rows, and each row will have the constant 106 stitches per row. This is what you should have after completing the first 8 rows. Now for rows 9 and 10, we're going to work the low front ridge, rows 1 and 2, again, just like we did here, where we work a chain 1, skip that first stitch, working only in the front loops. We work the slip stitch all the way across, and then at the end of this row, we will turn and we will work single crochet in the remaining loop all the way across that following row. So go ahead and work the low front ridge, rows 1 and 2 again, and this is for rows 9 and 10 in the pattern. Now I have one more stitch to work in row 10, and I'm going to begin the stitch, but then I am going to switch to another color. We're going to switch to the green, which is color number 5 in the color chart, or the list of colors used. So I'm just going to pull that through so that we will start with this color. Okay, now we're going to begin row number 11, and this will be the row where we work the stems and the leaves for these beautiful flowers. After joining the green yarn, it's called evergreen in the kit, you can go ahead and chain 1, and we're going to single crochet in the first 8 stitches. Five, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, now we are going to chain 10 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then we're going to single crochet in the next stitch. Chain 10 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And single crochet in the same place as the last stitch. And then we're going to do that again. Chain 10. And then single crochet in the last, same space as the last space we crocheted. Okay. So that's what you should have. You should have 3 single crochets in that space. Now we are going to single crochet in each of the next 9 stitches. Just single crochet. After crocheting those 9 single crochets, we're going to repeat what we did over here. We're going to chain 10. And working in the next stitch, work a single crochet, and then we're going to do this 2 more times with the chain 10s. And single crochet in the same place as the last stitch, and then 1 more time. Let's do that again. Okay, so after we get those 10 chains, and then single crochet in the same place as the last stitch. And then we will again crochet 9 single crochets. So let's just pause a minute and take a look. Okay, we will be dealing with these loops that will be the leaves and the stem in the future rows to follow, but right now we're just going to work this across and make sure you work 9 single crochets in between, and I'll show you how to finish the end of the row. At the end of the row you should have 7 stitches left, and we're going to just crochet single crochets in each of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're going to do the last one, but before we finish off that last stitch, we are going to switch to color number 6, which is the cream or the off-white color. Let's go ahead and pull that through. So we've made our color change, and you're going to want to trim this color carefully. And again, if you'd like to tie these 2 strands together just to secure them, I'm going to go ahead and do that to mine. I know some of you may prefer to not tie them, but to just work them in at the end, which is fine. I'm just going to do this to secure them for now, just so they don't get away from me. There we go. All right. And we are going to work a border around this at the end, so that we'll be able to hide a lot of these knots if we decide to leave them as knots. Okay, so now we're going to chain 1. This is row 12. So after joining the yarn, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to single crochet in the first 7 stitches. 6 and 7. Now the stitches that are part, those 3 stitches here, we're going to just make a chain 1. We're going to skip all that. Make sure you push that towards the front, and then the first stitch of the 9 right here going the other direction. It is the one that is connected to the first chain going the opposite direction on that last row. We'll crochet into this one and to the next 8 stitches. So you should have a total of 9 single crochets in between the gathering of those chains, which will become leaves and a stem. And let me just double check because this is very important. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Perfect. Chain 1. We're going to skip the chains again. And remember this one, and you can tell that this is different because it's slightly separate from the 3 that are in the same hole. That's what this chain 1 is going to replace. And so we go ahead, skip that after we make that chain. And then again, single crochet in each of the 9 stitches. So go ahead and work that all the way across the row. At the end of row 12, after that chain 1, I have single crocheted in each of the last 8 stitches. So now we're going to turn. Now we come to row 13, and this is where we are going to connect the leaves to our work. Okay, so we're going to start off with a chain 1, and we're going to single crochet in the first 5 stitches. Now the next stitch, we are going to insert our hook into the loop on the far right before we insert under our stitch as usual, and go ahead and crochet a single crochet over that just like so. Now working with these chains forward, we're going to crochet 5 stitches. 1, 2, each of those were in single crochets, and the next one is in the chain 1 space. That's our 3rd single crochet, and then 2 more, 4 and 5. And then the next one, which is number 6, we are going to put the hook underneath this chain loop and then under the stitch, and then crochet our single crochet as normal. And make sure that you have that leaf the way you want it to appear. Make sure it's not all twisted up, you know, in an unusual manner, because we want this to look uniform. Okay, now we're going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to repeat this all over again. So go ahead and take this loop, which is one of the leaves here, and work our single crochet just like that. And then working behind, we should have 5 stitches. 1, 2, again worked in single crochets, and then the 3rd one should be worked in that chain 1 space. That's going to keep everything evenly spaced. And then 4 and 5, and then the next one again we get that chain just like that, and under those 2 loops, and make that single crochet. So you can see how this is going to help to hold those leaves back. And then again 3 single crochets, and then we're going to repeat it all over again. So that's what we're going to repeat across the row. After working this all the way across, we're going to single crochet in the last 4 stitches. 3 and 4. Okay, let's stop and take a look at that. Now we're going to turn, chain 1 for the next row, and we're going to single crochet in each single crochet across the row. And again, the stitch count remains the same of 106 stitches. So now we come to row 15, and this is where we're going to add our first row of tulips. Okay, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to single crochet in the first 8 stitches. Now before we complete the 8th single crochet, we are going to bring in the first color, and that's going to be the pink. This is color number 4 in the chart. So we're going to complete that single crochet with that pink color. And boy, is that pretty. Now we are going to make the first flower. I'm just going to make sure that single crochet is not too busy. Okay, we grab our pink and we're going to wrap the hook. We're going to work double crochets. We put our hook through the stem and through the stitch. Now I'm going to do one other thing too. The yarn, we're going to carry it over behind our flower here, and we're going to crochet over all of that as we do each of the 6 double crochets. Okay, we just go in again. 2, 3, 4, 5, and so as we complete the 6th double crochet, we're going to bring in the white yarn through that stitch, and we're going to carry that along. Now we're going to work 8, or actually 9 single crochets, but I'm going to work 8 of them, and let me show you how to do these. I'm going to put the hook in to this very first one. Don't forget, it's very close, and it's easy to just, with the way the relief is, it's easy to ignore that, but that is a very important stitch. And we're going to do something else too. We're going to put the pink over the work. Okay, so we're going to crochet over that pink strand as we crochet each of these 9 stitches. Okay. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and here's the next 9. We bring up a stitch, and this is where we go back to the pink. We bring that through. As you can tell, that is pretty well hidden. The color is not going to bleed through very much at all, and I think that looks really nice. Okay, so now we're going to work those 6 double crochets. We wrap our yarn through the loop, through these 2 loops, and don't forget to go over this strand as well. And then we work those 6 double crochets. That's 4, 5, and this is where we switch back to the white 6. Okay, so this is what we're going to do all the way across the row, and again we're going to work those 9 stitches, and we're going to make sure that this pink yarn strand is hidden by these 9 stitches. So go ahead and work this all the way across the row. At the end of this row, we're going to crochet into the remaining stitches. So you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 remaining stitches, and I would just continue to crochet over the color pink strand until we get to the end of the row. I'll take you to the end here. Okay, and so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave a generous strand so that it will be easy to hide, and you can just go ahead and cut that pink color, and let's take a look at what we have. Isn't that beautiful? I just love the stunning colors of this hand-dyed yarn. It's pretty fun to work with. Okay, so now we are going to turn, chain 1, and we are going to work single crochets in each single crochet across. And let me show you what to do once you come to the flowers. Okay, so we single crochet in all the, basically all the white spaces. And we're going to chain 1. We're going to skip all of those 6 double crochets, and you want to push that forward. And the next stitch, is going to be the single crochet way over here. And make sure that you crochet this up nice and tightly, because when you do, it makes this flower pop out and look like that beautiful tulip that it is. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and work with you again all the way until we get to the next flower. Okay, and make sure you do all the stitches. There should be 9 in between. Chain 1, and then again skip all those pink double crochets and go to the next section here. And again, make sure that there is no slack between this area. The chain should just be a normal chain, not a big chain, because if it's not, then that flower is not going to pop on the other side. So let me go ahead and turn and show you the results. Okay, you can see the way it's given this some relief, which is going to be, I think, absolutely stunning. All right, so go ahead and finish that all the way across the row. Now for row 17, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to single crochet in each single crochet and in each chain 1 space across. So go ahead and crochet in all of the stitches. You will again have 106 stitches. The stitch count has not changed. And then at the end of that, we're going to chain 1, turn, and then single crochet in each row going back. So go ahead and crochet row 17 and 18, which is single crochet in each stitch or chain across. One more thing before we complete that single crochet at the end of row 18, we're going to bring in the new color, and this is color number 2, or the mustard yellow if you're using the kit, just like that. And then we're going to chain 1, and let me give you the assignment because I've demonstrated all the stitches so far. So what we're going to do at this point, once you bring in the color change, we are going to repeat rows 3, which is the low front ridge rows 3 through rows 18. That is a 16 row repeat. And you're going to do that making the appropriate color changes, you know, for the greens and the various colors for the flowers and for the arrow, low front ridge, you know, sections here. All that information for which color to use when is listed in the video description below. In the pattern that can be purchased for this project from our Lovecraft store has detailed, even more detailed information, as well as a chart should you want to design your own color scheme. It would be very easy to just fill in the chart so that you know what to do when. So I'm going to go ahead and complete this project. Should you need additional stitch support and you want to return to row 3, you can just go ahead and look at the bottom there. I will put the time mark as to when that begins. I'll go ahead and I'll show you what I have once I complete this section. I just wanted to mention that it's very important in this project that we follow the gauge. It's actually better if your gauge is slightly smaller than if your gauge is slightly larger, because I fear that you may run out of yarn. The margins, particularly on the purple, are very close. There is an adequate yardage to complete this project as described, but you do need to be sure that you are following the pattern exactly, and that, like I said, the gauge is as close to mine as possible. Even just a little bit larger is going to make a difference. Now, if you get to where you don't have enough purple, feel free to substitute one of the other colors that are left. There are plenty of the other colors. Just wanted to make a mention of that early on in this project. So I'm going to go ahead and show you where I have stopped. I have completed 10 rows with the tulips, and I have a total of 11 sets of the arrow pattern with the low front ridge. And let's just take a look at how these colors have unfolded in this blanket. This has been very a very satisfying project. So after my last repeat of rows 3 through 10, I worked an additional single crochet row across. Now before we work our perimeter around using the cream color, we do have some unfinished business here. We have a lot of strands to hide. Now you have two options. You can pull these knots particularly tight and hide the strands with the knots, or you could carefully undo each of the knots and then hide the strands with them, you know, unconnected as it were, because as we work the single crochets across, that will help to secure those ends. So I'm going to leave that preference up to you. I am going to personally secure my knots. I know some of you are anti-knot out there. I understand. But I'm old school, and I'm just going to leave mine in because I am confident that I can crochet over them with single crochets and everything will be fine. So let me just give a really quick tutorial on how to hide these loose ends. I'm going to be careful as I hide the loose ends to stay underneath the color of the thread that I'm using. Okay, so I am going to run this strand carefully just under the similar color. Like I mentioned, this is pretty important since we have a lot of high contrasting colors in this project. So we can run it up this way. And if you're not convinced that's going to hold it, you can actually come back with it a little bit further, and it gives it some, you know, pull back, a little added security. You don't have to do this with all your threads. Well, it'd be helpful if it stayed in the needle. There it goes. And then just pull that through. It actually looks nice. Okay, so now I'm going to carefully trim this and make sure that you have a sharp pair of scissors and that you don't trim your stitches. You want it to be close, but not so close that you cut the stitches. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take care of that one, and likewise run this under the green stitches, which there is only one place to really run this since we only have one row of green stitches right here. Okay, and I'm gonna run it under all of these stitches here because that's it. Should really secure it. All right. And pull it through, and then I kind of pull back a little bit because I know otherwise it will pull out naturally, and trim that so that is hidden forever. And as you can see, I mean, you barely see the knot as is, and once we crochet single crochets over that, I believe that will be hidden into the work, and the yarn is thin enough you're not going to feel a bunch of knots or anything there. It's going to be fine. All right, so and this one you're just gonna, I think this one on the edge, it's already hidden. I'm going to just trim this one because obviously I'm not going to want to hide this under any more of the white thread. Okay, so go ahead and hide those loose strands, and then I will show you how to begin the perimeter rounds. Now we're going to start the perimeter round, and I am going to start on the last row, and I'm going to join with a slip stitch and to the first stitch of the corner there, give it a chain one, and I'm going to single crochet one stitch in each stitch all the way across until I get to the corner. After having worked the single crochets all the way across the row, let's turn 90 degrees, chain two, and then we're going to work evenly down the row ends. And I'm going to go ahead and work that first single crochet in the same place where the last was formed, and that will thereby make a corner. We're going to do this with every corner as we go along. So we're going to just work these single crochets evenly. Generally speaking, you're going to work one single crochet per row end. Of course, when you're working on the row ends, like right here of the arrow, you will probably use 2 stitches, and actually let's go ahead, I'll give you the stitch count. Yes, 2 stitches per row end on the double crochets, and then just 1 per row end where the single crochets are concerned. So that should give you the same stitch count that I have. So go ahead and work this evenly until we get to the corner. And when you get to the corner, we're going to again do the chain 2, turn 90 degrees, and then you're going to work in the foundation stitch and just work in those stitches just like you would here, 1 stitch per 1 single crochet per stitch, and then another chain 2 at the corner and turn 90 degrees, and then work up the other side of the row ends just like I'm doing here. So go ahead and complete that perimeter round. I'll show you the final join. Okay, after working this all the way around, in case I didn't mention before, the front side of your work should be facing you for this round 1. We're going to chain 2, and then we're going to join with a slip stitch to the very first single crochet of this perimeter round. Go ahead and chain 1, and now we're going to turn. We'll have the back side facing us for this round, and go ahead and work a single crochet. This is worked in the chain 2 space, chain 2, and then a single crochet in that same place, and then we're going to just work 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around. Of course, when you get to that chain 2, make sure that you do a chain 2 corner just like I showed you. Single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. So go ahead and work those all the way around. At the end of the second perimeter round, we're going to join with a slip stitch to that first single crochet of the round, which was in the corner, and go ahead and work a slip stitch to that chain 2 space, just like so. And then now we're ready to turn and work our third perimeter round in a similar fashion. Go ahead and chain 1, single crochet in that chain 2 space, and then we're going to work 1 stitch in each stitch. We have that first one's going to be over that slip stitch, but go ahead and work 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around. And just like we did on the previous 2 rounds, when you get to the chain 2 space, work a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet to form the corner. The last single crochet is worked in that chain 2 corner space. Go ahead and chain 2, and then join with a slip stitch to the first single crochet of the round. And now we're going to turn, and once again the back side of the work is facing us, and we are going to work the finishing round. So go ahead and chain 1, and in the chain 2 space we're going to work a single crochet, chain 3, and a double crochet, and we're going to do that one more time in that same chain 2 space. We're going to work a single crochet, chain 3, and then a double crochet. This is an eyelet trim that we will be using for the final trim. So after working those 2 repeats, or the 2 eyelets in the chain 2 space, we're going to skip 2, 1, 2, and then we're going to work a single crochet. Let's pull it through all the strands. There we go. Chain 3, and then a double crochet worked all in that same space. Skip 2, 1, 2, and then in the next stitch, single crochet, chain 3, and then a double crochet. And we're going to work this all the way around. Now, there is a very strong possibility that the numbers will not work out perfectly as a multiple of 3 as you go around. And if you need to, it's perfectly fine to either skip maybe 1 fewer stitches as you approach the corner, or 1 additional one, just depending on what you think will work out for the very best. It's a very minor alteration if you need to make one. And what we're going to do is work 2 of these repeats in every chain 2 corner as you go about. Okay, here we go. So when you get to the chain 2 corners, just make sure that you work 2 of the eyelet repeats with the single crochet, chain 3, double crochet. So go ahead and work this all the way around, and I'll just show you what this looks like with the front side facing. After working this all the way around the perimeter, I'm going to join with a slip stitch into the chain 2 space of that corner. I'm going to give it a chain and a tug so that'll be nice and secured, and cut a nice long strand just like that. So now I have 1 strand to hide, which I'll do in just a second. And let me just show you the way this looks along the edge. Now, of course, you do have pink left, I believe enough pink and perhaps enough green. If you don't like the white trim, you can always use one of those other colors. Of course, you're not going to have enough purple to make the perimeter round, but you would have enough yellow or pink or green if you prefer that over the white. I kind of like the way the white looks, but feel free to change that up should you like. Now let me go ahead and show you a photo of how this beautiful blanket came out. Well, I hope you enjoyed making Emily's lap blanket with me today. If you did, please comment below. I would love to hear from you. God bless. Bye-bye.